Hello, welcome to Safra's World. My name is Safra, and this is my world, and welcome to another edition of Writers Behaving Badly. Now, today I'm just going to do a very general overview about writers and social media. I have so much to say on this subject, so I'm probably going to do many videos on it, and I have already done videos on it, and I will continue to do videos on it because social media keeps changing and mutating. It can be a valuable tool, and it can be a very self-destructive tool. So, I also want to say that I talk about social media in my Udemy courses as well, and I'll keep updating those as well over time because, like I said, social media changes all the time. So, when social media was first invented, it seemed like such a fantastic idea because writers like to write, and social media is another way to write and express ourselves and give our opinions and so on. However, people of my age who had life before internet and life after internet grew up with a certain kind of morality or rules of conversation, a party talk, as it were. And a lot of these party talk perimeters, school talk, whatever, it usually was centered around if you can't say anything nice, say nothing. Don't talk about politics or religion, right? And a lot of us were brought up like, don't talk about politics or religion because you just get into fights, you're never going to change anyone's mind. And it was always a pretty good rule of thumb. And you could kind of tell who's edgy if you go to a party and they start talking about politics or religion, right? So, ooh, taboo. Let's all talk about this, right? And now we have social media, and you can just blurt out whatever you want to say, boom, 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 out into the world. And things have changed a lot just in how social media has evolved. It used to be that you'd go to specific message boards and you'd have to sign up for the message board and you have to know people in the message board and you just chit chat. Sometimes you'd have flame wars or fighting and all that, but it's really still just specific amount of people seeing this stuff. You can think back to the Horror Writers Association, how I believe we still have a message board, but everyone's on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. So, but back then, you had to be a member of HWA, and you went in there and you talked about whatever you wanted, and sometimes things got really heated because people would bring up religion or politics or guns or sexuality, and then boom, all hell breaks loose. Um, but it was still kind of curated, still kind of, you knew who you were talking to. And then, as once Facebook was invented, at first it was set up so that you still had to know people, like MySpace. You had to know people. You couldn't really see stuff unless you were their friends, or invited or accepted, whatever terms you want to use. And so you still were preaching to. Having conversations with people you kind of knew, or you knew enough about each other that you would ask to be a friend or want to go on the message board and so on, right? But now, we have Twitter, and Twitter, anyone can tweet, anyone can see it. And this is how a lot of social media is now, Instagram and so on, where it's not a select few people and you know everyone in the room, right? Now it's worldwide, international, maybe even galaxy wide. We don't know if those aliens are watching us. So, with all these ideas in mind, then you need to think about your platform as a writer. Who are you talking to when you're making your social media posts? I know some people are very specific about what they post where, and I'm kind of like that too. Facebook, I started off as more for my writing career, but then I opened it up there. I accept pretty much anyone, whether they're fans of my work or people I've worked with. And plus, I do TV, theater. I'm a writer, it's tarot reading, I teach on Udemy and so on. So I have all these networks, plus being a mom and then boyfriends, girlfriends of the kids, and so on. So all these tentacles of all these different people and platforms and spheres just in my own world on Facebook and almost 4,000 friends. And then Facebook now, people can see everything. It used to be really shut down. Even mine was really locked down. But now people can pretty much see whatever they want. Even if you think you're locked down, you're probably not. There are ways to find out. You can make fake accounts and so on, right? So I've noticed in my own world on Facebook, just use that as an example, that sometimes I'll have an opinion, and usually it's about politics or religion, and then I'll lose a bunch of followers. And of course, people never tell you why they unfriend you. I've yet to have someone say, "Hey, I unfriended you because you're a jerk," or "I didn't like what you said," or "I'm pro this and you're anti that, so we're not getting along anymore," or anything. They just unfriend in the end. And I've lost about 1,500 friends in the last year. And I'm not terribly political or religious on my Facebook, but I do say my opinion now and again, and I do live Facebooks from marches and things. Um, so I have lost a lot of friends because I had an opinion. That's all I can put it down to because no one has told me any reasons why they've left. So you have to think about your career. So if you're a writer and writing's your career, not your hobby, you really have to figure out what you're trying to do on social media and what platform is for what, right? I consider Twitter as sort of my work platform where I talk about um, my YouTube videos or books I'm in, or and where I'm going to be, public appearances and all that. Plus, I like to watch various TV shows and I'll tweet during them and stuff like that. And then I have to be mindful when I'm tweeting during, my dirty secret is 90 Day Fiance. And then I have to be careful because unlike the old days, these days the cast is actually on Twitter too, seeing and hearing these things. And you have to think, okay, so even though I think this person's like being catfished and an idiot and such, if I agree with this post or share with this post, what do my writing fans think about me picking on this person? Am I a bully? Right? So all of a sudden you have to kind of consider what you're doing, what you're tweeting about, and where it stands with regard to your professional platform, if you have one. And as a writer, everything you do is your professional platform because writers, it's a different kind of art than most of the other arts because, social media is writing. So you see, recently in the last year or so, just as an example, there have been several instances of writers who have lost some really cool contracts because of what they've tweeted or shared on Instagram and so on. One that comes to mind was Chuck Wendig, who's a horror, fantasy, Star Wars writer, and he writes in several genres and is hugely successful. He's a best-selling author. I've met him a few times over the years, and he's a wonderful man, but he gets very political. And he got on a big political rant just before Star Wars Celebration last year, and because he's very politically very extreme left type of person, and then a lot of Star Wars fans are very right person, so they see a Star Wars writer saying negative things about the government they like. Anyways, it cost him his contract for his I believe it was 4 issues of a Darth Vader comic book. His contract was canceled because of backlash from social media. And it's like, well, he should have an opinion, of course. But his opinion was so strong and so vitriolic that the publisher actually came in and canceled his book because there was too much. It was too much. And this is an example of what's the line? What's the line between giving our opinions, having our political opinions, and destroying our careers? So you have to be careful. So with him, I watched it happen in real life, how he was getting more and more angry, and rightfully so, in his opinion on his views, and but he went too far for his audience, which is Star Wars fans and children and so on. The horror people don't care, but He's dealing with Disney and Marvel or whoever the hell does the Star Wars comics, right? So he screwed himself out of a cushy job. Now, one good thing about writers is we can have pen names, so I have no idea, but I think it would have been good on his part if he took a pen name and still did those comics. And maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know. But that's the only saving grace of being a writer is you can like go have a pen name. I have several pen names myself. Then there was the case of the young lady who took a picture of an employee eating on a break or something on a train or eating where they weren't. There were signs they weren't supposed to, and publicly shamed this person. And this writer got huge backlash, and her contract was canceled. And let me tell you, she had a sweeter contract than I've ever had, and she blew it. She blew it because she shamed someone and she posted, and it's not nice. She posted picture of a woman, and I think it also almost became a race issue on top of it all. So that's another example of, you know, where's the line? Can you have an opinion or not? Should she have shamed that person or not? Whatever, she lost her contract. So as writers, I just ask you, I'm just going to end it with this today. I have so much more to say, so much more. Um, but really consider what you're doing and who you're talking to and who you're trying to talk to when you're on the platforms. Yes, you may be angry at what's happening in the United States on whatever side you're on, right? And as we've heard the saying before, I believe Adam Driver says it about Kylo Ren, but I know it's a very old saying he got from somewhere else, which is the villain believes he's the good guy in the story. So whether you're left or right, inside out or upside down, in your political or religious beliefs, there's always going to be someone opposite to you. And you have to think of, if you're trying to become a best-selling author, who is your fan base? And don't you want everyone to buy your book? Yet, you don't want to pander and you don't want to be someone who you're not. You should be able to express yourself, but consider how you're doing it. If you're all day tweeting at the President of the United States and calling him every name in the book, and especially if you don't even live in the States and you're just like from England or Australia or Canada or whatever, and you're just constantly, every time Trump tweets, you're on his case, you just look like a crazy person. You don't look like politically savvy. You don't look like someone who has a writing career because you're always on Twitter tweeting at someone who's not even your own president. You're not going to change that president's mind. He's not looking at those tweets. He might see the odd one. It's not changing his mind. He is who he is. And there are better ways to fry that fish, right? There's better ways of dealing with politics than just sitting with your keyboard courage screaming at the Democrats or the Republicans or the NRA or whoever. Writers, you can write. You can write letters to Congress. You can write political things. You can write articles in newspapers that people will actually read. People just see these tweets, and even, I like, Mark Hamill is not a writer, but he's an actor who I admire greatly because I love Star Wars and Luke Skywalker's my man, he's my jam, right? But even I get annoyed at his political tweeting, and he doesn't do it as much as he used to, but he does get the odd things in, and he's lost a lot of fans because of the constant barrage. And yet, with someone like him, he does have a higher platform, so maybe people do listen more to some of the things he says. But again, I'm not convinced anyone has ever had their minds changed about anything on social media, like big things, like going from Republican to Democrat or being anti-gun to pro-gun and things like that. I doubt anyone's minds have been changed from a few tweets, especially when you're tweeting like a crazy person constantly all day long when you should be writing your books. So turn off your social media, take a deep breath, and get your anger out in those horror stories. Right? Because that's what you're here for. Writers write. So instead of getting angry at social media, angry at the prime minister or our premier of Ontario, the mayor of various cities, and so on, focus all that energy into your work. Doesn't mean you have to write political books, but just focus that energy into becoming a better writer and better at making the world a better place. Tweeting into the sky, Facebooking into the sky, Instagramming hate everywhere is changing no one's mind. You just look like a crazy person, and you just look like you're full of hate as much as the hate you're preaching about, right? And I'm no God. I'm no, I'm not the, I'm certainly not one to follow because like I said, I give my opinions too, and sometimes I really shouldn't. I got to take my own advice. I have been pulling back on Facebook because I'm trying to focus more on getting my writing done so I can get more books out in the world and bring entertainment and joy to people, even though I write horror, but horror is its own kind of joy for those of us that love that adrenaline rush. And so I ask of all of you writers, um, fuel your energy into writing, writing to the papers, writing to the political parties, running for political office. Get your religious and political ideas out in the old-fashioned ways. Okay? Because these newfangled ways, they're just stirring the pot, and no one's listening. Everyone's screaming, no one's listening. It's like all the birds tweeting in the trees. Are they listening to each other? I don't know. Okay, so that's my rant for today. I have many more things to say about writers and social media, and so I'll be making some more videos over the next few days. And please share this video, like this video, or hate it. You can click the I hate you thing too, 'cause if you hate what I said. Subscribe, share. If you want to know when I post, that little bell thing, you click that and then it tells you when I post. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Okay, and best wishes with your writing. Please don't be a writer who behaves badly. Bye.